Oh, are you waiting for your makeup? Lights, camera, action! So for those of you who have just looked for a review on YouTube, welcome. We've just done 2 weeks down to Croatia with the Carado Vlow V600. Now those of you who follow our channel will know that we went to Scotland in January in a camper van of pretty much the same layout, very similar. And that was a very different kind of test because that was a cold weather test, whereas this one has been in warmer weather. And I have to say, this kind of van really suits the warmer weather touring. We've had a terrific time and we go into some detail about the van, the good points, what would make me buy it, the deal breakers, things that would stop me or make me think twice about buying it, any breakages or failures, and any annoyances and niggles. So we go through those 4 sections, and for each one we will do the exterior, driving, and the interior. But first of all, I just want to tell you that this van has been spec'd to the max. Now at the moment, I will need my price list here. As I'm filming this is May 2018. The UK price for the very basic Vlow V600 is £41,250, which is terrific. However, this particular van has had so many upgrades to 150 brake horsepower engine upgrades. The metallic grey paint was £520. The bumper metallic grey was £290. There's been a weight increase to take the alloys. The alloys are £470. The awning outside was between £870 and £960. And then the interior has what's called the basic pack with the captain's chairs, the workbench extension and the kitchen, the cab blinds here. This is all part of a basic package which costs £1,230. And yet if you don't go for that package, you still have to have the captain chairs fitted. The chassis pack has been fitted, the chassis comfort pack has been fitted, the TV package has been fitted, the wiring for a reversing camera has been fitted. I've not found out how much the reversing camera costs or the sat nav. You even need to pay £160 for your registration documents. So this actual van goes through the tills at about £52,000. So what do you get for your £52,000? Basically, you get a fantastic touring vehicle. But what this van is really about is storage, storage, storage. And when you think you can't find any more storage, there's more storage. But let's start off with the outside of the van, and then we'll go to the driving and then the interior. Starting with the good points. One of the best points about the exterior is quite simply the way it looks. Look at it, it's gorgeous. The optional metallic paint job, the optional alloy wheels. The Vlow has been turning heads and attracting attention wherever we go. The 100-litre water tank is great, as is the 90-litre waste tank, but do bear in mind that that is not insulated. I love the electric step, which is part of the basic pack, and also the fly screen. What I really like is the optional canopy. It's been a real boon in this warm weather, and if you're going to do some warm weather touring, I would definitely recommend that you go for this option. At the back you've got some great storage, that's another plus point. Some of you have asked about the width at the back for wheelchairs, so I measured it and that is 70 centimetres. Also some of you asked about the gas locker size. Well, that can take 2 11-kilo gas bottles, and it is 73 centimeters high. What I like about it is you'll see this rubber seal around the door in addition to the dropout vents at the base of the locker, so it's really good to see that that is sealed to the interior cabin. Deal breakers. There is one main deal breaker with this van, and that is there is no exterior light. So when you go to enter or exit the van at night, You might not be able to see the step. I just don't understand that. To me, that's a real deal breaker. Breakages and failures. I'm delighted to say there were no breakages or failures with the exterior of the van. Niggles and annoyances. There's only one minor annoyance as far as the exterior goes, and that is that you need a key to open the valve to empty the waste tank. It's a bit of a fiddle, but it's about the only annoying thing I can find as far as the exterior goes. So now let's move on to the driving, and of course we start with the good points. Well, the 150 bhp engine, which is an upgrade, it's coped fine with some of the demanding mountain passes that we've been over on this trip, and I'm pretty glad that we had the upgraded engine. In its standard guise, the engine probably would have been okay, but it would have needed a lot of work to get over some of those hills, so really like the 150 bhp engine upgrade. So we are now in second gear. It's almost 1 in 5. In the cabin, we've had plenty of storage and bins for things like high visibility vests, first aid kit. Another thing I've loved is the reversing camera. I've looked on the website and I can't see how much this would cost as a cost option, but it's been terrific. Deal breakers. Despite the smart looks, I found the seat pretty uncomfortable. The main reason being there is no lumbar support in that seat, and I've just found it pretty uncomfortable to do long distances sitting in that seat. But the most annoying deal breaker of all about the driving is the table. The table needs to be removed while you're driving because the fixings aren't secure enough to make sure that you'll be safe in a crash. However, you'll notice that the leg of the table only bends halfway up, and you need to move the table before you take to the road. I did ask Carado where I should put it, and they said I needed to put it somehow in the mattress on the bed, which would have meant ripping the bed up every time that you want to take to the road. I ended up putting the table in the washroom, but the shuffling up and down the van every time I wanted to move on was really annoying. The idea of a camper van is to be able to just jump in the driving seat and go, and with this annoying table you've got to faff about and put it away every time you want to drive. Breakages and failures. I am delighted to say that as far as the driving goes, there were no breakages or failures. Niggles and annoyances. One minor annoyance was on some of the steeper mountain passes. When we stopped on a curve to let traffic come down, we experienced a loss of traction from the front wheel drive on the van, and we would have wheel spin, and it sometimes was difficult to get going again. So that loss of traction was quite annoying. Of course, those of you who saw my last review of the Ducato van will know that I hate the versions that come with no cup holders. Once again, we had no cup holders. Fortunately, they are a no-cost option, but I really don't get it. I don't get why you'd need this lockable box when you've got so much other storage. Really? I want cup holders. Another small annoyance is that this tablet holder, if you use it to put your phone in, it blocks the CD loading on the stereo, and it obliterates the top of the sat-nav, so you can't see the top of the sat-nav if you've got that in place. Moving on now to the interior, starting with the good points. Well, one of the best aspects of this van is storage. It's got storage, and yet more storage. It's even got storage to put the storage in. It really is the ideal van for those people who like to get away and take it all with them. I really like the way that the area under the bed has been separated by this lift out section. It makes it really easy to get to the stuff at the back. I also think the kitchen storage has been really well designed, with the drawers down one side and the cupboard down the other, so it's easy to get into the storage. Over the bed, the lights are really cool because you can move them from one track to the other, and there are tracks on both sides of the van. So if one side of the van is higher than the other, you can simply just switch which side of the van you have your head at night. I also really like these neat recesses behind the mattress where you can store things like your phone or your watch at night. The size of the bed, well, the mattress is 186 centimeters long, but the recess, because of those shelves, is 197 centimeters long. And then at its widest point, the mattress is 140 centimeters wide. The center of the bed can fold up to make for more storage if you need it for transporting things like bikes when you're on the road. Deal breakers. There are a couple of deal breakers, I'm afraid, with the interior of this van. One of them is the blinds by the bed. The mattress seems to be a little bit too big, and because of that you can't actually get the blinds down. They foul the mattress. What I ended up doing was actually having to go outside, open the doors to put the blinds down or put them up. That really needs looking at. Another deal breaker was the washroom. It really is tiny, but not only is it tiny, I think it's not very well designed. Cleaning my teeth every night was a bit of a challenge because the tap is too big, so you can't actually get your mouth under the tap when you're cleaning your teeth. But also, because of the cupboard over the wash basin, I kept banging my head because there's hardly any room to get your head in over the sink to clean your teeth. I took a few showers in the van, but it wasn't a pleasant experience. For a start, there's nowhere to secure the shower head while you're having a shower, so you have to hold it with one hand and try and soap yourself up with the other hand. Another huge annoyance is the fact that the toilet controls are under the sink. So where you think they would just be accessible above the loo, no, they've put them under the sink. You have to scramble around under the sink every time you want to flush the loo. Carado call this an intelligent washroom. I've called it a lot of things over the past few weeks, and intelligent isn't one of them. Another deal breaker for me has been that lounge. Those bolt upright seats, do you know, they're as comfortable as they look. As in, no they're not. Also, if you're sitting opposite someone, there's no leg room. There's not even a scatter cushion to make life a little bit more comfortable. Breakages and failures. There's been one minor failure, and that's simply been the kitchen extension. The screws holding in the bracket are too small, and I've tightened them up a couple of times, but every time I tightened them up, they immediately came loose again. Really, it just needs better quality fixings. Other than that, the build quality on this van has been really good. Niggles and annoyances. The main annoyance for me was the fact there was no spark ignition to the hob. It almost became a deal breaker. Also, those two burners to the hob, they're tiny and take a long time to boil even just 1 cup of water. There were a couple of minor quality issues as well. For example, the middle drawer in the kitchen was misfitting and had to be pushed in order to be secured when I latched it. The cupboard doors in the bedroom didn't fit terribly well either, and at the back of the van there was also exposed edging by the cupboards too. So there you have it, a fair weather summer review of the Carado Vlow V600. It is perfect for touring and for doing a trip like we've just done to Slovenia and Croatia. It's easy to park, it's easy to get around some of those mountain passes. The engine upgrade has been terrific. We really needed it on some of those mountain ascents. But as far as the interior go, something has to give for all that storage space. And the two compromises you make with this particular van are the washroom and the dinette area. They're both very compact. Now, if that doesn't bother you, then that's absolutely fine, because this van is all about touring in the summer. You'll be living outside as we have been most of the time, and really this is just to hunker down in when you're on the road. The table also has been a bit of an issue, but again, if you're going to eat outside most of the time, that won't be a problem. It's only really if you're going to use that table like we have almost every day, you're constantly getting the table in and out. So it's really, you've got to think about how you are going to use the van. And if you want something to bomb down to Europe, enjoy the finer weather and the good weather, use cites, and also have something that's going to do for weekends in colder weather, then this is absolutely fine. Another thing I wanted to briefly talk about is the fridge. Now in the winter, this kind of compressor fridge struggles to keep the food cold, and it really drains the battery in the winter. It's quite a paradox, but like, you mustn't put a chest freezer in the garage because it gets too cold. The same with the fridge. These compressor fridges work better in the warmer weather, and in the warmer weather we've had on this trip, the compressor fridge has been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So again, that's been a great comparison with the winter test we did with a van with exactly the same fridge, where the fridge really struggled to keep the food cool and it consumed a heck of a lot of power. In the summer, it seems to consume less power and keep the food colder. I would say the two things that I found almost unforgivable were the lack of outside light over the step. Maybe that's my previous background as a train guard, where steps and doors are quite important, and lighting, and also the faff with the table, having to store it every time you move. So would I recommend this van if you wanted a van to live in off-grid in the woods? No, I wouldn't. Would I recommend this van if you wanted something to bomb down to Europe on an absolutely mind-blowing voyage of discovery and you're going to use cites? Absolutely. In Slovenia on the Breakages Pass, there are 50 hairpin bends, and we actually did pass a couple of A-class motorhomes on the Breakages Pass. And I will be honest with you, I am convinced that I was having a far better time of it than they were. Yes, you could take an A-class or a bigger motorhome up the Breakages Pass, but you'll be forever stopping and worried about cars passing, whereas in this van it's so agile that it was no problem at all, and I could spend my time enjoying the scenery. Now I'll grant you that £50,000 is a lot of money, but I will end this review as I end almost any camper van or caravan review, and that is, if you've got £50,000 to invest, are you going to invest it in something that's going to bring you more money in the future when you might be dead? Or are you going to invest it in you? Are you going to invest it in experiences, in enriching your life? Because if you want to invest it in something that's inanimate, maybe going to bring you more money in the future, and more money and more money, and what you're going to do with it, then go ahead. But if you think it's time that you started investing in you, in your family or your partner or just yourself, and you want to invest that in experiences, this trip has been amazing. And with Croatia and Slovenia, I've barely scratched the surface, and I am absolutely gagging to go back and spend a lot more time down in those beautiful countries. And this is the ideal kind of vehicle to make that voyage of discovery. And with that in mind, the Carado Vlow V600 is worth every single penny. So if you have the means and you want a camper van where storage is the priority, and you're not too worried about the washroom or the lounge area because you're going to be outside most of the time and using cites, then this is definitely a van worth looking at. So I hope you found this review useful, and as ever, a huge thank you to Carado UK for sponsoring this entire trip without interfering with the content. This review is completely impartial and has not been influenced in any way, shape or form by the fact that Carado have sponsored this trip. So do please check out the playlist on my channel for the Go With The Flow series of vlogs where we go down to Croatia. I'll put a link to that in the description below. I'll also put a link to the Carado UK website where you can find out more technical information about this van. If you don't subscribe to this channel, we'd be really grateful if you did, so please click on that subscribe button. And it just leaves me to say, from a very excited and animated Dougal and from me, thanks for tuning in. How did that go, Dougal? Hello? Did that? Yes? Do you think that went all right? Smile.
Smile, Dougal, smile. Smile, 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 smile. He never smiles.